Hello from London. I'm really pleased to speak to the, as I understand, future entrepreneurs of Latvia, and especially ladies. I'm very pleased to address you, and I hope that you will have enjoyable 20 minutes of my speech, and then definitely please, I'm open for your questions. Okay, I wonder what is the most interesting thing that you would like to hear about my story. I will start somewhere, but please feel free, especially Aina, if you feel you want to direct my speech somewhere or to something more interesting for young ladies, please let me know. So I'll start my story that I was very shy girl. I was afraid to speak. I think it comes from my school where I was very shy. Basically, it was the education more that made me not speak up about myself. So I learned in my school how to think, how to analyze, but never speak. And that is the thing that I had to pick up early in my career, because actually to do any business, you've got to open up and speak to people, to your customers, to your partners, to anything you need to find in your for your business. Today, now everything is online. A lot of things are online, but still, you will depend a lot on other people and your community and your clients. So speaking up for yourself is one of the first things that the earlier you start to develop, I think the better. And still going back to my shyness, I was very shy when I left Latvia. I came to London actually only for 6 months to improve my English with aim to go back to Latvia. And I finished the banking in Latvia, and I thought, okay, I'll get some very good job in London in banking, and then I'll come back, and my career will go upwards, and much faster than it would without experience abroad. However, I came to London, and nothing was as I expected. I was not expected and welcome here. I couldn't find a job that I desired. And eventually I got some job, at least in office, which was something to do with my education, which was in money remittance, in money transfers abroad. It was a Brazilian company. And that's where I get a little bit more experience of life in London. And I saw a lot of migrant workers who were sending money back home. And I thought, how is it so expensive? Why is it so expensive and so slow? And I thought back in Latvia, I know that banking system was already back then, it was good. How, I'm talking about back in 2002, it's when I came. And I thought it is impossible that it has to cost so much as it was with Western Union and other companies, and people were working so hard here and sending their monies back home and paying huge fees. They were losing like 5% of their earnings only on money transfers. And that really inspired me to open the business. But then I hit this wall of shyness. I couldn't open my mouth. I couldn't speak to people. And one day when I was without work, I just decided that is it. This is my either life or death almost, that I've got to speak. And I started just speaking with my terrible accent at the time, still with accent in English, but it was my knowledge of the English wasn't very good at the start. And I just opened up my mouth and started to speak to people politely, slowly. And that's where it was a good start. It was a good start. The trickiest was one of the biggest things to start my business was to actually convince banking system here that I can be good and trusted, because banks here were very reluctant to open any bank accounts. And I got rejected some 15 times. So 15 times, and I was devastated after each rejection. And some bankers said, you will have a lot of problems to open account and open your company. Because we were high risk for banks at that time, high risk businesses that banks are reluctant to open bank accounts for. But I was just persistent. I was believing, and every time I went again to pitch my business and represent my business idea to the banks, I improved myself a little bit. I improved myself a little bit slightly, and every time I analyzed what did I do not so good, what could I do a bit better next time. And eventually, on some 15th time, I got somebody who actually was inspired by my idea, who thought, this is great idea, show me your business plan. Oh my God, that was really stressful. What does this person want to see in this business plan so that it's convincing? But in a couple of days, I put all my ideas down on the paper. And again, that person, I still remember that person's name 20 years later, because he believed in me the most of all and opened the account for me and left the bank soon after. So my story, I guess it is like, you've got to overcome difficulties, but it is so rewarding at the end. It is rewarding once finally you, through the difficulties, you get through something and achieve something and convince people that you can do. It was I think one of the happiest moments when eventually I opened the account. My other thing that I want to share with you is that it was the next thing was how to get the clients in. Because again, that shyness was not helping, but now I had a little bit more bravery. But you cannot be shy when it comes to selling your product. This is the opposite. You've got to show passion. And I felt a real passion about my product because I was inspired that people were paying so much for money transfers to back to Latvia, back to Ukraine, wherever they were at the time, and Georgia. And I think our first money transfer was to Georgia. And it was just, I had to start talking and sharing my passion with people, and that was addictive. So people were sharing my passion, then passing all on to their friends. So not only they started to send money with me and trust their money to me, but they also shared the same passion as I spoke about my business. They spoke to their friends and they spoke to their friends. And a few months later, my business, which I only opened because I couldn't find job in my area, desired area, it started to go up. And 3 months later, I had big queue standing outside of the door. And I was not ready even for that. I just had to cope with it. I had to do as work as fast as possible till from 8 a.m. till 8 p.m. I was working, and I didn't have experience at all how to expand the company, how to hire people. My first employee actually came to the office and said that she's looking for work and said that she would like to work here. So it wasn't that I even wanted to hire people yet, because I didn't have enough vision at the time. How the company could grow and what are the next steps that I should do. So I hired that person, and she still works with me 20 years later now. So that's about and now I have a team of 25 people in London and about 15 abroad, including Latvia. We have a small call center in Latvia, and we have IT team all over the place. And we have people working from Bulgaria and Poland as well, and Lithuania. Um, I'm thinking also, what was the critical thing when I was young, and what was one of the critical things that made me successful? I think one of the most important things is focus. It is focus means that you are not, how distracted you are with your other life. So it is the upside of the business that I had a great focus, but it was a bit downside for my life, for my personal life. And I will share this information with you, and you make the judgments for yourself, for your life. So I was very, very enthusiastic about my business. It meant to me everything, because I had to survive. I couldn't find a job that I desired. The other option was to go and be waitress, which was unacceptable for me at the time. I could do nothing wrong with the job itself, but it's not who I was. It's not who I wanted to be. And I focused so much on this idea, on this business plan, which my banker asked as well. I could write it in 2 days, only because it was all in my mind for days and nights and nights and days. And I was thinking of every detail in my business, how it would work, how and why. The biggest thing was why customers really need it. Why would they want to transfer money with us, and why will they trust me? Because at that time, especially, trust was a huge thing. It is still now. But back in 20 years ago, when banks were sometimes going bankrupt, it was even bigger challenge. And the focus was one of the most important things that really brought me up, because I was living every minute of my day thinking about my business. And on other hand, that was the time, exactly my first 4 or 5 years of my business was the time when I lost most of the friends. I didn't get in touch with my family much because I simply didn't have time. I didn't have, my attention was all on the business. So success is there. If you focus on one thing that you want to achieve, it is very likely that you will achieve it. The key, I think, is to find the balance, because you still want to have friends a few years later after your business is successful, and you want to be great with your family. You want to have closeness with your family. And I left my country, if you remember. That was painful. I cannot tell if I can recommend it again. It is something that everybody will, in their on their way, feel themselves and decide for themselves, because being away from the close ones is very difficult, but it allowed me to focus on business. And I think I will tell one more story. For example, what was more difficult during the business. The business was going well. However, we started at some 10 years ago, we started to have huge competition, and from companies which are nothing like us. So we were small company, from migrant workers, from people from Latvia, Lithuania, Bulgaria, Poland, working together. And we were profitable from the first year. My company has been profitable, and ever since. However, the companies that started appear as our competitors were the huge companies who got investments of hundreds of millions of pounds and euros. So it was very different, and it was very difficult to compete with them, because suddenly they start to make pricing that is, we cannot offer such pricing. We were wanting to cover our costs, but for them it was just that the investors were giving them money for in hundreds of thousands of money every year or so when they were raising the funds. And that was, I think, one of the most difficult moments in my company, how to still keep my company inspired and my employees inspired and attached to the business and not leaving the business, because we suddenly started to feel that we are not the most loved among the customers in the market. And this is what I came up with. It was, I thought really to myself, why are we more proud about our business? And it was exactly that I told everybody, but you can be proud that in this business, we earn our salaries, we earn our wages, we earn the money that we are receiving from company. Whereabouts in other companies, they are getting big monies from investment companies and from other rich people, and they just spend that money without even concept that they have earned it. They didn't have to earn it for many years. And I think that this was one of the most inspirational for my team, because they also say that that's it, kind of like their attitude and their love to company, their passion about company started to degrade, to go down a bit, because other companies started to seem cooler and more advertisement there and more features in the product. And when I announced this, that you can be proud because you actually earn it, it totally changed the system, and the company was more inspired, and employees were much more connected to work. I wonder, Aina, how is it going? Well, would you like me to speak about something specific from my experience?
Well, I guess on this day when the girls really need this encouragement, perhaps you could share what has encouraged you on your way when you perhaps were worried about something, or you were, I don't know, down or something. What is your inspiration?
When I'm down, you know what? I think that one of the things that give me really strength is that I really treasure my independence. So the thing that made me actually establish the business as well, probably in the first place, apart from not finding the job, which I hoped for, it was that that I wanted to be independent. I had bosses before. I had lovely bosses. I learned from them a lot, but I wanted to make decisions myself. I wanted to make decisions and then be responsible in front of myself. And I was afraid of some other people judgment. I guess it helped. I didn't want my bosses to judge me, but I am very tough judgment on myself. I am the toughest probably of everyone because I am very self-critical and at the same time very requiring a high performance from myself and critical and demanding of myself good results. But the first inspiration, I think, yes, that is definitely independence. It's independence that I can decide when to do, what to do. And that feeling of freedom is addictive. I cannot go back and be part of some flow where somebody else's vision goes and I have to do some small part in it. I want to do my vision and I want to engage people to follow me. So I think that's how what I actually do with my employees. I engage them and they want to follow me. In the difficult moments, also I think that it is important to have friends and some support who, when you really get scared, who can take you back to the ground and make you feel that whatever happens, everything will be okay. It's usually your family or your friends, depends on your age. Your life partner in the future. But it is important to have people around you who support you and in difficult moments will give you a shoulder. The difficult moments at the start, I think it was, I remember a moment as well where I was doubting myself. So many people doubted that I can make this business, money remittance in different country. I wasn't even fluent in English back then. And how can I learn all the laws and taxes and how can I be entrepreneur in country that I have been? I was only less than a year in the country before I established business. I hardly could speak and I could navigate how to go around this London, but I couldn't yet know any entrepreneurial laws. However, I sat down and I thought, yes, they are right. I don't know anything initially, but then I thought, but who does know? Who does know? Who would know good enough? Okay, British people, but the British people are so many with so many opportunities here, but they don't use them. Why they are not all entrepreneurs? I was asking myself. So they just don't want to be. Maybe the key is in me just wanting it. And eventually I thought that it's not, there is nothing that nobody is so much smarter than me. Please don't misunderstand me. I thought, how are they smarter exactly? What do they know more? Okay, they know laws, they know tax system, but I can learn it. And I thought, what could be a thing that really will stop me? And I couldn't work it out. What would really be the reason for me not to start this business?